The moment Mark Wahlberg stepped onto the set of The View, the energy in the studio shifted noticeably. Dressed in a sharp charcoal blazer and exuding calm confidence, he greeted the co-hosts with polite nods and a warm smile. He was there to promote his deeply personal, faith-based film, a story of redemption, forgiveness, and purpose. It was a project that meant more to him than any action blockbuster or box office hit. The first segment flowed smoothly. Whoopi Goldberg asked thoughtful questions about his transition from a troubled youth to a respected actor and producer. Sunny Hostin touched on his work with inner-city youth, and Mark opened up about his spiritual journey with unexpected vulnerability. The audience responded warmly, clapping enthusiastically as he spoke about second chances in rebuilding one's life. But just as things began to settle into a groove, the producers threw a curveball. "Please welcome our surprise guest, radio legend Howard Stern," Joy Behar announced with forced enthusiasm. The audience erupted into applause, but Mark's face noticeably tightened. Howard swaggered onto the stage in his trademark dark sunglasses and leather jacket, arms out like a rock star. "Ladies, gentlemen, and Marky Mark," he said with a grin that bordered on mocking. He didn't sit right away. Instead, he hovered beside Mark, gesturing like he was welcoming an old pal back into the ring. Mark stood, shook his hand stiffly, and sat back down. "Wasn't expecting you, Howard," he said with a strained chuckle. "That's the point of a surprise, right?" Howard shot back. "But I gotta say, I'm fascinated. You've gone from Calvin Klein underwear and club brawls to rosaries and redemption stories. What's next?" Pope Wahlberg. The crowd tittered uneasily. Joy gave a nervous laugh. "Oh boy, here we go." Mark, trying to stay composed, replied calmly. "It's called growing up. I've changed a lot, Howard." "Some people do." Howard shrugged dramatically. "Hey, I'm all for change. I just wonder if it's real or just Hollywood's latest reinvention trick. You know, bad boy goes God, box office gold. That kind of thing." Mark narrowed his eyes, his tone tightening. "You think this is an act? You know what I've been through. I've done the work. I don't need your approval." Howard leaned in slightly, his voice lower but still cutting. "I think you're great at PR. That's all I'm saying. But if we're being honest, people remember the arrests, the fights, the ego. Hard to forget when it was all over the tabloids. And now suddenly you're leading Bible studies." Sarah Haynes looked visibly uncomfortable, glancing toward the control booth. Sunny Hostin tried to interject, "Let's keep the focus on the film." But Mark didn't let it go. "I'm not going to sit here and be attacked for trying to be a better man. If you want to stay stuck in shock jock land, that's your lane. I've moved on." Howard smirked. "I'm just saying what everyone's thinking. You're selling a narrative. Doesn't mean it's the truth." Mark turned to face him directly. "And you're still hiding behind a mic saying things you wouldn't dare say to someone's face if we weren't surrounded by cameras." A beat of silence. The tension was no longer just palpable, it was suffocating. Whoopi raised a hand. All right, let's take a breath." But Mark had already unhooked his mic. He stood up slowly, eyes locked on Howard. "I came here to talk about something real, not to be a circus act for your ego." The audience gasped softly. He looked at the hosts with a slight nod. "Thanks, ladies, I'm out." And with that, Mark Wahlberg walked off the set of The View, live, unedited, and leaving everyone stunned. Backstage at The View, chaos rippled through the production team like an earthquake. A stunned silence hung in the hallway where Mark Wahlberg had just disappeared, security and stagehands giving each other bewildered glances. He walked swiftly, jaw tight, passing dressing rooms without a word, his phone buzzing non-stop in his pocket. Meanwhile, on set, the co-host scrambled to regain control of the show. "Well, that happened," Joy Behar said awkwardly, attempting to fill the uncomfortable void. The audience let out a few uneasy chuckles, but it was clear the mood had plummeted. Howard Stern, seemingly unfazed, leaned back in his chair. "What? You bring me on to be honest, and I deliver. You want sugar-coated soundbites, call a politician." Sunny Hostin raised an eyebrow. "Howard, being honest is one thing. Being disrespectful, especially to someone speaking about their growth and personal battles, is another." He shrugged. "You can't expect to go on a show called The View and not get views." Backstage, Mark finally stopped walking. He stood silently in front of the exit door, fists clenched, breathing deeply to avoid letting the heat rise further. A producer rushed up behind him, headset half falling off. "Mark, wait, please. The studio's in damage control. We had no idea Stern would go that far." He didn't turn around. This isn't what I signed up for. I gave them a chance to talk about something that matters. Instead, I got ambushed for ratings. We understand, the producer said hurriedly. Let us at least help with your car. We'll get you out quietly. But please, consider issuing a statement. It's going viral already. That was no exaggeration. Within minutes, clips of Mark storming off mid-show flooded social media. TikTok was ablaze. #Wahlberg walks, and #The View meltdown, trended on X, while YouTube channels churned out reaction videos by the dozen. Some praised Mark for standing up for himself and his faith. Others mocked him, accusing him of being too sensitive or unable to handle tough questions. But the most unexpected reaction came from Howard Stern himself, just an hour later, live on his SiriusXM show. "I'll say this," Howard began. "Maybe I pushed too far. Maybe, but I didn't mean to make the guy walk. Look, I've known Mark a long time, sort of. He was a punk kid once. Now he's preaching. Good for him. I don't buy all of it, but if it's real, I respect it." Maybe I should have said that instead of poking fun. It was a half apology, but from Stern, that was saying something. Later that evening, Mark Wahlberg released a brief but powerful statement on his Instagram story. Against a simple black background, white letters read, "Greater than, growth isn't just a word, it's a battle. I won't let mockery or noise stop me from telling stories that matter. I've lived through my worst. Now I choose purpose." It garnered over 5 million views in 3 hours. The next morning, headlines covered every angle. Mark Wahlberg storms off The View after explosive clash with Howard Stern. Faith versus fire. Inside the morning TV moment that shook Hollywood, Wahlberg walks, but his message stands tall. By the weekend, Wahlberg had been invited to speak on multiple talk shows, podcasts, and news platforms. He declined most of them. Instead, he did a quiet interview with a small faith-based outlet, where he said softly, "Sometimes you have to walk away, not out of weakness, but because peace is louder than shouting." And just like that, what began as a fiery clash turned into a cultural conversation, not just about celebrity drama, but about change, forgiveness, and the cost of speaking your truth in front of millions.